All right, we are live. Today we're continuing our quest of trying to find and read every book in Morrowind. We'll see how it goes. Earlier today, I've been putting off, writing down every single, making a checklist of all the books. Until today, I was like, oh shit, I'm playing today. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Dang it. Oh, wait, no. Pressing the wrong buttons all the time. But yeah, so I started writing the list, right? It is a lot more books than I thought. I mean, I knew it was a lot, but yeah, I didn't quite finish. I don't think I'm even halfway through writing down the whole list. Because it is, wow, lots of books in Morrowind. So, we'll continue writing down the way I did it yesterday, just writing down every time I come across a book. And
speak, traveler.
We'll just do it that way for now. So I'll keep going that way, and then by next time I'll have the checklist done, and then I can, all the books that I've read so far I can right away check off on my checklist. But for now, let's try and see if we can do some fun stuff.
I will, but don't take too much time.
Okay, so let's see. There's two things I could start off with, right? There's so many books. I'm definitely gonna need better gear at some point, like just to speed this up. Like maybe a bunch of enchanted gear to make myself go faster, that kind of thing. At some point, I'm definitely gonna want that, right? And yeah, so we definitely want to do some leveling. So I could either kind of put a little bit of focus onto getting a bit better gear, or just straight away just keep going with the books. I think for now, at least at the start of the stream, I'll just keep focusing on the books. Or maybe towards the end of the stream, I'll do a little bit of leveling. Ooh, dude. I mean, yeah. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter here anyway. There's some cool armor, but we're going unarmored. Anyway.
You like to walk a fine line, don't you?
What? What does that even mean? Okay, so where to find more books? I feel like the Mages Guild right here definitely has quite a few books. I mean, it's mages, so they're quite the studious sort. So pretty confident that they'll have quite a few books. So let's try joining the Mages Guild. Yes. Now, member, when you're ready, you can ask for duties, and then you can ask her about advancements. Okay.
Yes, Outlander.
Very easy to just join the guild. And since we're in the guild now, we can take some of these potions as well. They're quite helpful. And, ooh, got a new book. Origins of the Mages Guild. Actually, this might be pretty interesting, because I don't know a lot about the Mages Guild, I don't think. Let's see. I mean, I know it's a Imperial. The Mages Guild is, got started by the Empire. If I remember correctly, some high elf left the Psijic Order because he wanted to, he wanted to help people more than the Psijic Order did. The Psijic Order, they only interfere in very severe circumstances. They pretty much have a non-interference policy with mortals, I guess. And so yeah, I think that guy and one of his friends left the Sijic Order to create the Mages Guild, and they did it in the Empire, I think. And then I might be actually wrong on that, because I think it was like Mana Marco, and one other guy left to join them. No. Okay, no, I'm mixing up. Mana Marco left the Sijic Order. I do know that. Or it might have been the Mages Guild. Okay, I'm mixing it all up. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't really know a lot about the origin. Alright. So, let's go ahead and write it down. Origin of the Mages Guild. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was like Mana Marco and his friends left, made the Mages Guild. Mana Marco kind of turned out to be evil, and then his friend had to stop Mana Marco. And then Mana Marco eventually becomes a god, but it's whatever. The Lord of Slug? No, not slugs. Whatever. Let's just read the book. Alright, let's take a drink first. Wet my throat a little bit. Alright. Origin of the Mages Guild. The idea of a collection of mages, sorcerers, and assorted mystics pooling their resources and talents for the purpose of research and public charity was a revolutionary concept in the early years of the Second Era. The only organization then closest in aim and structure to what we know today as the Mages Guild was the Sijic Order of the Isles of Artaeum. At the time, magic was something to be learned by individuals, or at most within intimate covens. Mages were, if not actually, hermits, usually quite solitary. The Sijic Order served the rulers of the Somerset Isles as counselors, and chose its members through a complex, ritualized method not understood by outsiders. Its purpose and goals were likewise went unpublished, and detractors attributed the worst evils as the source of the Order's powers. Actually, the religion of the Old Order could be described as ancestor worship, an increasingly unfashionable philosophy in the Second Era. When Vanus Galarian, a Sijic of Artaeum and student of the famed Iakesis, began collecting magic users from around Somerset Isles, he attracted the animosity of all. He was operating out of the urban center of Firsthold, and there was a common, and not entirely unfounded, attitude that magical experiments should be conducted only in unpopulated areas. Even more shocking, Galarian proposed to make magical items, potions, and even spells available to any member of the general public who could afford to pay. No longer was magic to be limited either to the aristocracy or the intelligentsia. Galarian was brought before Iakesis and the king of Firsthold, Relus XII, and made to state the intentions of the fraternity he was forming. The fact that Galarian's speech to Relus and Iakesis was not recorded for posterity is doubtless a tragedy, though it does afford opportunity for historians to amuse one another with speculation about the lies and persuasions Galarian might have used to found the ubiquitous organization. The charter, at any rate, was approved. Almost immediately after the guild was formed, the question of security had to be addressed. The Isle of Artaeum did not require force of arms to shield it from invaders. When the Sijic Order does not wish someone to land on the isle, it and all its inhabitants simply become insubstantial. The new Mages Guild, by contrast, had to hire guards. Galarian soon discovered what the Tamrilan nobility has known for thousands of years. Money alone does not buy loyalty. The Knightly Order of the Lamp was formed the following year. Like a tree from an acorn, the Mages Guild grew branches all over Somerset Isles, and gradually, the mainland of Tamriel, there are numerous records of superstitious or sensibly fearful rulers forbidding the guild in their domains, but their heirs or heirs' heirs eventually recognized the wisdom of allowing the guild free reign. The Mages Guild has become a powerful force in Tamriel, a dangerous foe if a somewhat disinterested ally. There have been only a few rare incidents of the Mages Guild actually becoming involved in local political struggles. On these occasions, the guild's participation has been the ultimate decider in the conflict. As begun by Vanus Galarian, the Mages Guild as an institution is presided over by a supreme council of 6 archmagisters. Each guild hall is run by a guild magister, assisted by 2-fold council, the Master of Incunabula and the Master at Arms. The Master of Incunabula presides over an additional council of 2 mages, the Master of Academia and the Master of Scry. The Master at Arms also has a council of 2, the Master of Initiates and the Palatinus, the leader of the local chapter of the Order of the Lamp. One need not be a member of the Mages Guild to know that this carefully contrived hierarchy is often nothing more than a chimera. As Vanus Galarian himself said, bitterly leaving Tamriel to travel to other lands, the guild has become nothing more than an intricate morass of political infighting. Damn, they left that in their origin book? That's hilarious. Okay, yeah, so Galadriel, was it Galadriel? I did know about him. Either they didn't go into, yeah, it seems like they just didn't go into Mana Marco at all here. I mean, obviously, because he's, yeah, probably a kind of dirty history. Unless I'm completely misremembering. But I'm pretty sure Vanus Galarian was like a friend of Mana Marco before Mana Marco, like, turned evil. I mean, he always was kind of sketchy.
What's this about, Khajiit?
But, when they were friends, they were, you know, he wasn't openly, very openly evil.
I don't know if I can help you.
Lord of
but I'll
Worms,
try.
that's what Mana Marco's title is now. He's, he became a lich. He turned himself into a lich. He was very good at necromancy. And, he was the first and only lich to turn himself into a lich and still retain a human appearance. Because usually when a lich, you know, transforms, they'll look like a skeleton, like a Draugr or something. But Man Marco somehow retained his human appearance and looks pretty much alive. Okay, we got Brief History of the Empire. We've already read that, though. Good there. We got
Looking for something.
Fragment on Ontarium, Galarian the Mystic. Where Were You? Dragon Baroque. Ooh, okay, that one's an interesting Mage's Guild Charter. Okay, I think this one's Where Were You? Dragon Baroque. That one's going to be interesting. We're talking about dragon breaks, which are kind of fascinating, honestly. How that works and very kind of confusing. So I'm going to save that one for last on these. Fragment on Artaeum. I don't think I've read that one. I did read something on Artaeum. But it was, let's see. Oh, don't even, okay, maybe I just haven't read it. Okay, so Fragment on Artaeum, I feel like that's interesting. Mage's Guild Charter is probably going to be the driest of them. So let's start with Fragment on Artaeum. Or actually, no. Since we just read a book pretty much about him, let's read about Galarian the Mystic. So let's go ahead and jot that down. And take a quick drink. Alright. Galarian the Mystic. During the early bloody years of the Second Era, Vanus Galarian was born under the name Trectus, a serf on the estate of a minor nobleman Lord Girnasse of Salish Ek on Kur. Treshtus, his father and mother, were common laborers, but his father had secretly, against the law of Lord Girnace, taught himself and then Trectus to read. Lord Girnace had been advised that literate serfs were an abomination of nature and dangerous to themselves and their lords, and had closed all bookstalls within Salikich on Kur. All booksellers, poets, and teachers were forbidden, except within Girnace's keep. Nevertheless, a small-scale smuggling operation kept a number of books and scrolls in circulation right under Garnas's shadow. When Trectus was 8, the smugglers were found and imprisoned. Some said Trectus's mother, an ignorant and religious woman, fearful of her husband, was the betrayer of the smugglers. But there were other rumors as well. The trial of the smugglers was non-existent, and the punishment swift. The body of Trectus's father was kept hanging for weeks during the hottest summer Salikich on Kur had seen in centuries. 3 months later, Trectus ran away from Lord Girnace's estate. He made it as far as Alinor, halfway across Somerset Isles. A band of troubadours found him nearly dead, curled up in a ditch by the side of the road. They nursed him to health and employed him as an errand boy in return for food and shelter. One of the troubadours, a soothsayer named Heliand, began testing Trectus's mind and found the boy, though shy, to be preternaturally intelligent and sophisticated given his circumstances. Heliand recognized in the boy a commonality, for Heliand had been trained on the Isle of Urtaeum as a mystic. When the troupe was performing in the village of Patanza, on the far eastern end of Somerset, Heliand took Trectus, then a boy of 11, to the Isle of Urtaeum. The magister of the isle, Iacesis, recognized the potential in Trectus and took him on as a pupil, giving him the name Vanus Galerian. Vanus trained his mind on the Isle of Urtaeum as well as his body, thus was the first Archmagister of the Mages Guild trained. From the Sigics of the Isle of Urtaeum, he received his training from his childhood of want and injustice. He received his philosophy of sharing knowledge. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, that's really cool. I don't know, that's a neat backstory. I actually really like that. Those fucking those names, those were created by Todd Howard, I'm sure. Some so hard to pronounce. What is this? Salikich on Kur and Trectus and oh my goodness. Okay. Horrible names. I mean, they're probably like Elvish or something. But man, those are some harsh pronunciation. But yeah, this is a really nice backstory for him, and explaining why the Mages Guild is so open to everyone joining. And you know, the having serfs, being taught how to read, being frowned upon and seen as dangerous is also a nice parallel to the real world, where that's pretty much the reason why slaves in the real world weren't allowed to learn to read. Oh fuck! What? No. Okay. So you can't take the books. I'm just gonna load back.
Speak, traveler.
Back to here. I don't wanna. I can't deal with all that.
Like to walk a fine line,
I did not. Okay.
Speak quickly,
So I guess
Outlander,
that's-
or go away.
That is another thing to more books to steal. I mean, for now, really the main goal is just reading all the books rather than having them all in my inventory, but
Looking for something in particular.
I do want them all in my inventory. Alright, let's read Fragment on Urtaeum next. So it's called On Urtaeum, but I'm just gonna write down Fragment of Urtaeum. Wait, hold on. Yeah, Fragment on Urtaeum. Okay. There we go. Alright. on Artaeum. The Isle of Artaeum is the third largest island in the Somerset Archipelago, located south of Morrowind village of Patanza and west of the mainland village of Rinsubay. It is best known for being home to the Sigic Order, perhaps the oldest monastic group in Tamriel. The earliest written record of the Sigics is from the 20th year of the First Era, and tells the tale of the renowned Breton sage and author Vornet traveling to the Isle of Artaeum to meet with Iacasis, the right master of the Sigics. Even then, the Sigics were the counselors of the kings and proponents of the Elder Way, taught to them by the original hit race that inhabited Tamriel. The Elder Way is a philosophy of meditation and study, said to bind the forces of nature to the individual will. It differs from Magicka in origin, but the effects are much the same. That said, it is perhaps more than coincidence that the Isles of Artaeum literally vanished from the shores of Somerset at the beginnings of the Second Era, about the time of the founding of the Mages Guild in Tamriel. Various historians and scholars have published theories about this, but perhaps none but Iacasis and his own could shed light on the matter. 500 years pass, and the Artaeum returned. The Sigics on the isle consisted of persons, mostly elves, who had disappeared and were presumed dead in the Second Era. They could not, or would not, offer any explanation for Artaeum's whereabouts during that time, or the fate of Iacasis and the original Council of Artaeum. Currently, the Sigics are led by the Lore Master Celerus, who has presided over the Council of Artaeum for the last 250 years. The Council's influence in Tamriel politics is tidal. The kings of Somerset, particularly those Morrowind, have often sought the Sigics' opinion. Emperor Uriel V was much influenced by the council in the early, most glorious parts of his reign, right before his disastrous attack on Akavir. It has even been suggested that the fleet of King Orgum of Piadonia was destroyed by a joint effort of Emperor Antiochus and the Sigic Order. The last four emperors, Uriel VI, Morihata, Pelagius IV, and Uriel VII, have been suspicious of the Sigics enough to refuse ambassadors from the Isle of Artaeum within the imperial city. The Isle of Artaeum is difficult to chart geographically. It is said that it shifts continuously, either at random or by a decree of the council. Visitors to the island are so rare to be almost unheard of. Anyone desirous of a meeting with the Sigic might find contacts in Patanza and Runsubay, as well as many of the kingdoms of Somerset. Were more accessible, Artaeum would be a favored destination for travelers. I have been to the isle once and still dream of its idyllic orchards and clear pastures, its still and silent lagoons, its misty woodlands, and the unique Sigic architecture that seems to be as natural as its surroundings, as well as wondrous in its own right. The Sapora Tower in particular, I would study, for it is a relic from a civilization that predates the High Elves by several hundred years, and is still used in certain rites by the Sigics. Perhaps one day I might return. Note: the author is currently on the Isle of Artaeum by gracious consent of Master Sargenius of the Council of Artaeum. How nice. Okay. So that's the fragment on Artaeum. Now, this one might be a little bit more boring than those two, but Mage's Guild Charter. Let's go ahead and write it down real quick. There we go. Alright. Imperial Charter of the Guild of Mages. Number 1. Purpose. The Guild of Mages provides benefits to scholars of magic and established laws regarding the proper use of magic. The Guild is dedicated to the collection, preservation, and distribution of magical knowledge, with an emphasis on ensuring that all citizens of Tamriel benefit from this knowledge. 2. Authority. The Guild of Mages was established on Somerset Isle in the year 230 of the Second Era by Vanus Galerian and Aurelius the 12th. It was later confirmed by the Guild's Act of Potentate Versiduciae. 3. Rules and procedures. Crimes against fellow members of the Guild are treated with the harshest discipline. Whether a member may regain their status in the Guild is determined by the Archmage. 4. Membership requirements. The Guild of Mages only accepts candidates of keen intelligence and dominant will. Candidates must exhibit mastery in the great schools of magic, destruction, alteration, illusion, and mysticism. Candidates must also display practical knowledge of enchantments and alchemical processes. 5. Applications for membership. Candidates must present themselves to the steward of the guild hall for examination and approval. Attachment A. Mage Guild chapters in Vardenfell District Province of Morrowind chapters are established in guild-owned freestanding guild halls in the towns of Aldrune, Balmora, Caldera. The chapters in Sadrith Mora is established in Wolverine Hall under the lease from the Telvanni Council. The chapter in Vivec is established in the foreign quarters under lease from the Tribunal Temple. Okay. I don't know if I meet these criteria yet, but they have already accepted me. Because I have not cast a single spell, made any potions, or done any enchanting thus far. Alright, now, where were you? Dragon broke? Alright. This. Where were you when the dragon broke? Corax, Cyrodiil Elder Council. No one understands what happened when the Selectives danced on that tower. It would be easy to dismiss the whole matter as nonsense were it not for the Amulet of Kings. Even the Elder Scrolls do not mention it. Let me correct myself. The Elder Scrolls cannot mention it. When the Moth priests attune the scrolls to the timeless time, the glyphs always disappear. The Amulet of Kings, however, with its oversoul of emperors, can speak of it at length. According to Hestra, Cyrodiil became an empire across the stars. According to Shorel, Cyrodiil became an egg. Most say something in a language they can only speak sideways. The council has collected texts and accounts from all of its provinces, and they only offer stories that never coincide, save on one point. All the folk of Tamriel during the Middle Dawn, in whatever when they were caught in, tracked the fall of the 8 stars, and that is how they counted their days. Mehra Nabisi Dunmer Trium, Mistress of the New Temple. Accounts of the Middle Dawn are the province of the Empire of Men, and proof of their deceit that call themselves the Aedra. 8 stars fell on Tamriel, one for each iniquity that Lorkhan made clear to the world. Veloth read these signs, and he told Boethia, who confirmed them. And he told Mathala, who made wards against them, and he told Azura, who sent Almsivi to steer the true folk clear of harm. Even the 4 corners of the House of Troubles rose to protect the periphery of your madness. We watched our borders and saw them shift like snakes, and saw you run around in it like the spirits of old, devoid of math, without your if-thens, succumbing to the ever-now like slaves of the slim folly stasis. Do not ask us where we were when the dragon broke. For all the world, only we truly know, and we might just show you how to break it again. Oh, goodness. Relate har. Khajiit, tender to the main. Do you mean, where were the Khajiit when the dragon broke? Rilette tells you where, recording it. 1008 years. You've heard of it. You think the Syro-Nordics came up with that, all on their own. You humans are better thieves than even Rajin. While you were fighting wars with phantoms and giving birth to your own fathers, it was the Main that watched Jakai Ja, because the moons were only constant and you didn't have the sugar to see it. We'll give you credit. You broke Al-Kosh, something fierce, and that's not easy. Just don't think you solved what you accomplished by it, or can ever solve it. You did it again with Big Walker, not once, but twice. Once at Rimen, which we'll never learn to live with. The second time was in Daggerfall. Or was it Sentinel? Or was it Way West? Or was it in all three places at one? Get me, Cyrodiil? When will you wake up and realize what really happened to the dwarves? Mannimarco, god of worms, the necromancers. The three thieves of Morrowind could tell you where they were. So could the High King of Valinor, who was the one who broke it in the first place. There are others on this earth that could too. Ysmir, Pelinal, Arna the Fox, or should I say Arctis. The last dwarf would talk, if they would let him. As for myself, I was here and there, and here again, like the rest of the mortals during the Dragon Break. How do you think I learned my mystery? The Markati Selectives showed us all the glories of the dawn, so that we might learn simply as above, so below. Okay. Hard to understand what's going on here, but I guess what this is saying is the people of the Empire, they're super confused what's going on. You know, everyone's saying that different things happened, but then all the other races kind of know a little bit more. The Dunmer, you know, apparently one of the Daedra told another one, and then another one, and then they took that, you know, string of Daedra, he said, she said, all the way down to the Dunmer, and that's how they learned of it, I guess. And then, yeah. But yeah, so all these other people, they kind of know what's going on. Mannimarco, but... okay. But the Empire is very confused. Let's see. Any other books? I think those are all the books that are just laying about. Let's see. Oh, we got another book here. The House of Troubles. Alright. Here we go. Among the okay, hold on. The House of Troubles. Among the ancient ancestral spirits who accompanied Saint Veloth and the Chimer into the promised land of Morrowind, the four Daedra lords, Malakath, Mehrunes Dagon, Molag Bal, and Sheogorath, are known as the Four Corners of the House of Troubles. These Daedra lords rebelled against the council and admonition of the tribunal, causing great kinstriff and confusion among the clans and great houses. Malakath, Mehrunes Dagon, Molag Bal, and Sheogorath are holy in that they serve the role of obstacles during the testing. Through time, they have sometimes become associated with local enemies like the Nords, Akaviri, or Mountain Orcs. Malakath is the reanimated dung that was Trinimac. Malakath is a weak but vengeful god. The Dark Elves say he's Malak, the god king of orcs. He tests the Dunmer for physical weakness. Molag Bal is, in Morrowind, the king of rape. He tries to upset the bloodlines of houses and otherwise ruin the Dunmer gene pool. A race of monsters said to live in Molag Amor are the result of a seduction of Vivek during the previous era. Sheogorath is the king of madness. He always tests the Dunmer for mental weakness. In many legends, he is called upon by one Dunmer faction against another. In half of these stories, he does not betray those who called him, further confusing the issue of his place in the scheme of things. Can he help us? Is he not an obstacle? He's often associated with the fear the other races have of the Dunmer, especially those who, like the Empire, might prove useful allies. Mehrunes Dagon is the god of destruction. He's associated with natural dangers like fire, earthquakes, and floods. To some, he represents the inhospitable lands of Morrowind. He tests the Dunmer will to survive and persevere. The worship of these four malevolent spirits is against the law and practice of the temple. However, the Four Corners seldom fail to discover those greedy or reckless or mad enough to serve them. By ancient temple law and custom, and also by the imperial law, the lives of witches and warlocks are forfeit, and imperial garrisons join ordinators and buoyant armigers of the temple in tracking down and destroying these foul covens in the wilderness refuges and ancient ruins where they conceal their profane worships.
There is
Okay.
much to learn.
I mean, it seems like you could worship them, you know, just as like, okay, these guys are some obstacles I need to overcome, but I mean, I don't know.
You wish to speak?
Okay. Let's see. Doesn't have any books. For sure. But this is kind of an interesting storekeeper here. A Jira here. Because she sells some nice ingredients that you can use. I think it's hound meat. Let's just buy one. And crab meat. There's one other one. I don't remember exactly what it might be kwama egg. I don't remember though. We buy those two. Say goodbye. And then we go and do this. And we combine crab meat and hound meat. Dang. Okay, no. I was wrong. Oof. Okay. Okay. No, I don't need 6. Okay, what I'll do... Let's see. Okay. Damn. Yeah, I don't remember what the ingredients were. Let's get one of all the ingredients I think might have been it. Okay, I think you can do... Has no effect. What? Has no effect. Oh, you know what? You know what might be it? I think I know. I might have just failed in the potion creating. That might have been the right ingredients, but I just didn't make the potion because I don't have high alchemy skill. But hold on just a sec. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and... let's just get a bunch of crab meat, a bunch of hound meat. So I'm pretty certain those two combine to make a potion. Yeah, I created a potion. Okay, so that did work. Which means if so I made a restore fatigue potion. It has a value of 6. So I can, sell that to her. Buy more ingredients, which I don't think, my alchemy level is so low that I can't. I don't think I can make a profit quite yet. But, pretty cool, huh? And yeah, her ingredients refresh. And I'm pretty sure the other one was quam eggs. I'm pretty sure it's those 3 that can combine to make yeah, restore fatigue potions. It's those 3. Cool. Okay, so we've kind of figured things out a little bit. But yeah, so we do know which potions we can get from, which ingredients we need from her to level
You have my
alchemy.
attention.
Looking for something in particular?
Let's see. Are any of these guys merchants? Here we go, barter. He's just got a bunch of potions. Okay. Let's see, there's one, I think there's an enchanter upstairs. And she might have potions. I mean, she might have books. Let's see. She's got scrolls, no books. Okay.
All right, I'm listening.
So, I think the next thing to do
I've heard a lot about you, Outlander. Go ahead.
would be to go to all the different cities. Go to all the different locations. They usually have, I don't know why,
Anytime
maybe
now.
about more doesn't. But I'm pretty sure most places have a bookshop. And so, we don't have a lot of gold, which is a bit of a hindrance to buying books from the bookshop, but we can at the very least check out if they... Okay, actually, since I am here, there might be some more books in the Mages Guild here. But yeah, we can at the very least check out if the bookshops have
What do you
any books I'm missing. Okay,
What's
so
this
they...
about?
Okay. Seems like the brief history of the Empire is all over... Oh, did I? Okay, I did. It's weird I hadn't enabled my...
The finest potions and elixirs in town are right here.
hadn't enabled the audio.
Yes, what is
Always gotta check to be sure.
it? Was I thinking?
Seems like, okay. This Mages Guild, they don't have any books.
What is this
It's
about?
like no books around here. That is... What are they studying? They've only got
Speak quickly,
oh, wait, there's a book
Outlander,
here.
or go away.
Anytime now.
Withershins. Okay. Ooh, restoration skill got increased. Let's write this down. Withershins. This sounds interesting. All right. Withershins by Yakut Tawashi. Alright, said Kazaga. Why don't you want to talk? Zaki put down his mug of mead and just stared at his wife for a few seconds, finally, grudgingly. Because everything I have a conversation, darling, it flows in alphabetical order, just like I told you. I think the only way to stop it is to not talk at all. Couldn't you just be imagining this? It wouldn't be the first time you had an insane paranoid delusion. Remember when you thought the royal battle mage of Black Marsh was hiding behind every tree with a rape kit intent on making you, a middle-aged fat balding tailor, into his personal sex slave? You don't need to be ashamed, but it's Shiogorov's way to make us all a little crazy sometimes. If you go to the heel it... Damn it, Kazagaha! Snarled Zaki and stomped out, slamming the door behind him. He nearly collided with Siazat, his neighbor. Excuse me, she said to Zaki's back. He clamped his hands over his ears as he stormed down the street, turning the corner to his tailor shop. His first customer was waiting out front, smiling wildly. Zaki tried to keep his temper under control and took out his keys, returning the customer's smile. Fine day, said the young man. Gods, hollered Zaki, sending the young man flying with a well-paced punch and dashing away. As much as he hated to admit that Kazaga was right, it was evidently time, once again, for one of the healer's herbal cocktails. Tarsu's temple, to health, mental, and physical, was several streets north, an impressive obelisk. Halka, the chief herbalist, met him before he came in the hall. How are you today, Sazaki-Saf? I need to make an appointment with Tarsu, said Zaki in his calmest voice. Just one moment, let me see how his schedule looks. Halka said, looking over a scroll. Is this an emergency? Kind of, said Zaki, and slapped his head. Why couldn't he say yes, or absolutely, or sure? Let's see, said Halka, frowning. The best I can do for you is next Midas. Would that work for you? Midas? Cried Zaki. I'll be a complete psychotic by Midas. Isn't there anything earlier? He knew what the answer would be before she said it. There was no alternative. In a way, he had forced the response, if only he had kept the conversation going until why. No, said Halka. I'm sorry, do you want me to make the appointment? Zaki walked away, gritting his teeth. He wandered the streets, head down, to avoid all conversations, until he looked up and discovered that he had walked all the way to the wharf. A sweet breeze was blowing along the water, and he took several deep breaths until he felt almost normal. When his temper cooled, he could think again. What if this alphabetical conversation wasn't a delusion at all? What if what he felt wasn't paranoia, but acute awareness? He knew it was a classic dilemma. Am I crazy, or is there really something weird going on? Across the road was a shop called Paradox, featuring a display of herbs, crystals, and vapors trapped in orbs. The sign in the window read, Mystical Consultation, sunrise to noon. It was worth a shot, though Zaki was dubious. The only people who generally came down the wharf for healing were stupid adventurers who didn't know any better. Incense burned in copious billows of pink and gold, obscuring then revealing the clutter within. Gigic death mask glowered down from the walls, smoking censers hung by the chains from the ceiling, and the floor was a maze of bookshelves. At a well-worn table in the back was a small man wearing a headdress of tabulating a young lady's purchases. A small man wearing a headdress was tabulating a young lady's purchase. Okay, said the man, your total comes to 57 gold pieces. I threw in the restorative scale conditioner for free. Just remember, the candle should be lit only after you invoke Goroflox, the unholy, and Mandrake Root does best in partial shade. The customer gave a quick, shy smile to Zaki and left the store. Please help me, said Zaki. Every conversation I hear or get involved in seems to be arranged. Alphabetically, I don't know if I'm going insane or if there's some kind of bizarre forces at work. To be honest with you, I'm normally a skeptic when it comes to your type of business, but I'm at the end of my rope. Can you do anything to make this madness end? Quite a common problem. Oh, that felt weird. Quite a common problem, actually, said the man, patting Zaki on the arm. When you get to the end of the alphabet, do conversations then go to the reverse alphabetical order, or start at the beginning of the alphabet? Reverse alphabetical order, said Zaki, and then corrected himself. Damn it, I mean it starts from the beginning all over again. I'm in agony. Can you call this on the spirits and tell me, am I insane? Sorry, said the man with a reassuring smile. I don't have to. You're quite sane. Thank you, said Zaki, frowning. By the way, my name's Zaki, not Sauriki. Unusually close, eh? Said the man, patting Zaki on the back. My name's Octoplasm. Follow me, please. I think I have just what you need. Octoplasm led Zaki down the narrow corridor behind the desk. The two men pushed past the dusty cabinets filled with strange creatures and liquids, past heaps of Neolithic stones, past stack after stack, moldering leather, bound books, into the dank heart of the store. There, he picked up a small, squat, cylindrical drum and a book and handed them to Zaki. Vampirism, Daedric possession, and withershin therapy, said Zaki, squinting his eyes to read the book in the gloom. What in oblivion does this have to do with me? I'm not a vampire. Look at this tan. And what's withershin therapy and how much will it cost me? Withershins from the old Cyrodiilic wither signs, which means backwards, said Octoplasm in a serious voice. It is an art of reversing the direction of things in order to gain access to the spiritual world and break curses, cure vampirism, and trigger all manners of apotropaic healing. You know the story about the guy who was told that slaughterfish live in hot water. So he said, well, let's boil them in cold water. Xenophus, said Zaki instinctively, his brother having taken a rather esoteric upper-level course in Cyrodiilic's philosophy as an elective at the Imperial College 31 years before, and immediately wishing he hadn't. And what do you do with the cylindrical thingy? Octoplasm lit a candle and held the object over it so Zaki could see it more clearly. All along the cylinder were narrow slits, and when Zaki peered within them, he saw a succession of old black and white drawings of a naked man leaping over boxes, one frame after the next. You spin it like so, said Octoplasm, slowly whirling the device clockwise so the man within leapt over the boxes over and over again. It's called a zoetrope. Pretty neat, eh? Now you take it and start spinning it counterclockwise. While you're doing it, read this incantation I've marked in the book. Zaki took the zoetrope and began spinning it counterclockwise over the candle, so the little naked man within seemed to bound backwards over the boxes. It took a little coordination and concentration to keep whirling at a steady pace, but gradually the man's awkward and jerky back jumps became more and more fluid, until Zaki could no longer see the individual frames flipping. It looked just like a little humanoid hamster on an endless reverse treadmill. While he continued to spin the zoetrope with one hand, Zaki took in the other hand and read the underlined passage. Zoetrope counterspin, counterspin, counterspin. Pull my life from the rut that it's in. I invoke the goddess Boethia, Kinnereth, and Drissus to invert my potentially metaphysical crisis. My old life may have been rather pointless and plain, but I dislike the prospect of going insane. Make the pattern reverse by this withershin, zoetrope, counterspin, counterspin, counterspin. As he chanted the spell, Zaki noticed that the little naked man in the zoetrope began to look more like himself. The mustache vanished, and the hairline receded. The man's waistline expanded, and the buttocks sagged to the shape and texture of a half-inflated balloons. Scales approximating his own Argonian pattern appeared. The man began to trip as he bounded backwards over the boxes, taking bigger breaths and sweating. By the time Zaki reached the end of the incantation, his twin was clutching his chest and tumbling end over the boxes in a free fall. Octoplasm took the zoetrope and the book from Zaki's hand. Nothing seemed to have changed. No thunder had rumbled, no winged serpents had sprung out of Zaki's head, no fiery explosions, but Zaki felt that something was different. Good different. Normal. At the counter, when Zaki pulled out his satchel of gold pieces, Octoplasm merely shook his head. Our treatment radical such a effects term long the what sure but can't we naturally charge no. Feeling the first real relief he had felt in days, Zaki walked backwards out of the shop and down the road to his shop. Okay. So now everything's backwards for him? No charge. Naturally, we can't be sure what the long-term effects of such radical treatment are. Okay. I don't really know what this is trying to teach here, or if there's... I don't know what this is about. I don't know. Was a little interesting story though. Withershins, okay. Fun. That was quite a long one as well. Alright, let's see. Oh, come on, they're blocking my way. Here we go. I think there's a book here on the table. Yes. Where you went to the Dragon Brook? I already read that one. 2020, Sun's Dawn. Okay. Or no, it's 2920. Here we go. Ooh, mysticism increased. My goodness. Sun's Dawn, Book 2 of 2920. The last year of the First Era. Gotta take a little sip first. Three Sun's Dawn, 2920. The Isle of Artaeum, Somerset. Yeah, you can tell this game is really story heavy. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of books here, but yeah, this playing of Morrowind is just I've already played through the entire game. It was really nice, but now I want to get all the lore, read all the books. And it's been pretty fun. It's also a bit of a workout for the throat. My throat is already starting to get sore. Never actually seen this game though. Is this an older game or a newer one? Oh, it's it's part of a series of games called Elder Scrolls. So I'm sure you've heard of Skyrim. I mean, I feel like just about everyone's heard of Skyrim. Yeah. So it is the third. Morrowind is the third series, the third game in the series, and Skyrim is the fifth. So it goes Arena, Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. And they're all part of the Elder Scrolls series. And there's tons of books in these games. There's so much lore. And it's a fascinating universe, in my opinion at least. I've watched and read tons and tons of lore about the games. But I've never just sat down and read the books in the game. So just in I'm trying to remember. There was some YouTuber that I watched a very long time ago. That read all the books in Skyrim. And it's almost 300 books. I mean, they're shorter ones. They're this is 2 pages. There's usually maybe 10 pages. Not even that. Would you say this universe is just as big as the Harry Potter series? 300, my goodness, yeah. I think it was, it was Brian David Gilbert. He did a video where he read every book in Skyrim. And I thought that was a really cool video. And I watched that years ago. It was really cool. But yeah, it's 300 little 4 to 8 4 to 10, sometimes long. I mean, I just read one that was like almost 20 pages, but you know, they're not very long. Pretty neat. I would never have thought that was the case for the game. Yeah. I just thought Skyrim was its own thing. Right. Yeah, no, Skyrim, I thought the same for a pretty long time, but it is Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. You know, V Roman numerals for for 5. But yeah, there's tons of lore, and universe being as big as the Harry Potter series, I would say it's bigger. The Harry Potter series is a pretty small universe. Harry Potter, I mean, the Harry Potter universe isn't very expansive. Like, it is very... You go into a lot of detail about Harry Potter, but that takes place over like 7 years. Whereas with the Elder Scrolls, you don't go as like... I guess you don't go like as super in-depth on a single character. Like, you don't learn that much about a single character as you do learn about Harry Potter. But I mean, there's like 4,000 years of history that has like tons of intricate stuff, and it's also really fun. This is one of my favorite parts about the lore for Elder Scrolls is, so a lot of the lore that you can learn for Elder Scrolls is like in-game books. And now here you can see this in-game book, Sun's Dawn, is written by an in-game NPC called Karlovac Townway. So this in-game book is written by an NPC, so it is written with the bias of this NPC, and only written with that NPC's knowledge. So it's like real-world history text in that way, where you read like a history text, and, you know, a person writing about history can be wrong. And, you know, they might have exaggerated or, you know, made, like, I'm pretty sure this guy's from the Empire. So he might, in his book, make the Empire sound better than it actually is. And you'll have, like, there'll be books that have conflicting takes, right? So you have to piece together all these books, just like real history, and try to figure out what is actually true, and everyone has different opinions on what happened, and, you know, you're never sure. There's no, like, official history for the Elder Scrolls series. Like, there's no, this is how the world was created, because every culture in the game, like the elves, the orcs, the humans, they all have a different religion, pretty much, and they all claim a different way for how the world is created, and like the creators of the game never like went out of their way and said this is like the actual creation myth for the game. So you have a bunch of different cultures, and they all have very similar stories for the creation myth, but they're all slightly different. And, you know, you can kind of just have to piece everything together. I don't know. It's really cool. I really like it. And, like, actually, one of the fun stories for this is, so there's a book here. Let's see. I have it in my inventory, actually. Let's see. Here we go. The Biography of Baron Zaya. So this book here, and then do I have the other one as well? Hold on. Let's do. Yes, okay. So I have the Biography of Baron Zaya, Volume 1, and then I have the Real Baron Zaya, Volume 2. So these are separate series, but like in this one, so, you know, Second Era, a girl named Baron Zaya was born, and then it goes on to talk about how great and nice, and she's so lovely, everyone loved her, and you know, because she's like a queen and stuff. And yeah, so this book, this whole series, the biography of Baron Zaya, is like the official history from the that the Empire releases. But then the real Baron Zaya is like, you know, written by an anonymous author. And then I haven't actually read this one yet because I want to read it in order. But I'm pretty sure it like, here, Baron Zaya wanted to join the Thieves Guild. You know, it goes into like all the like crimes that she committed and all that stuff. So I'm kind of excited to read through the real Baron Zaya in order. So I have to find all those books. But yeah, I don't know. And there's so many. I'm actually pull this up just for. Let's see. So if I do image, this. Here we go. So this is a list. I'm impressed on how much you know about the lore of this game. Dude, I spent so much time researching the lore for this game. It's so good. So this is a list. One question, is most of the lore dumping from the books, or can you progress through the game and get more or less the gist of the story just by playing through? You can get the gist of the story just by playing through. You don't get like all the lore and all the like esoteric knowledge and like all the world creation from it. You can just play the game and you don't have to read the books. You can just play the game. There's a cool story. There's there's so many side quests. It's an open world. Tons of side quests. A nice story. And, you know, you can talk to all the NPCs. But for me, the kind of cool part is like exploring the world and talking to NPCs and, you know, learning all the lore. But this is all the books in Morrowind. So there's a lot. Hold on, you can go by subject. So you've got biographies. So you have biography of the Wolf Queen, Queen Baron Zaya, the real Baron Zaya. Most of them are short, yeah. Most of them are pretty short. Got faction books, got fiction books, history and lore, humor, instruction research, journals, notes, plays, politics, religious prophecy. But yeah, so like, well, I mean, I can show you. About to read the next one. I don't know how long this one. Oh shit. Okay, no, this is fine. I'm just gonna load back onto this save.
What do you want?
I'm level 1. I cannot handle anything. What was that? I accidentally picked up the book, which they were like, oh, you stole the book. Wait, hold on. Did I do window capture? Okay, yeah, I did. Yeah, I accidentally picked the book up. So they were like, oh, you stole it. Now we're gonna kill you. Now that is something, yeah. But yeah, this is a really old game as well. This came out in like 2002. So, you know, the dialogue is quite something. Here. But yeah, I don't know, this is one of my favorite games. Probably like my favorite game. Let's see. I don't know how interesting this book is. And, okay, this is a pretty long one. For some reason this game looks familiar though. I heard about some game that a lot of people used to roleplay a lot in. Yeah, I mean this is an RPG, a role-playing game. There's lots of role-playing that you can do in it. Alright. This is actually a really long one. Let's see.
The finest potions and elixirs
I'm
in
gonna,
town are
maybe I'll
right
come
here.
back to, like, from the community and stuff, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of, more books. Origins, Mage Skill, already read those. Let's see if there's a bookshop.
right.
Because maybe I also want to do the 2920 Sun's Dawn in order. Let's see. I don't think... Alright, let's try to find the bookshop. It is nighttime though, so... I'll probably have to... yeah, I think I have to sleep until day first.
You shouldn't be here.
What? Why not? Like the art, atmosphere and style though? Yeah. Dude, this is like my favorite. The atmosphere, art style. Dude, I love this game so much. It's so unique looking. It's like one of my favorite parts about it as well. Is like Skyrim looks, you know, it looks realistic, kinda. Where's the bedroom that I can use? It looks, you know, Skyrim kind of looks realistic.
Yes, Outlander.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? That's okay. I've been expelled from the Mages Guild. Whatever. I don't care. No, I do care. Gosh darn it.
Quickly, Outlander.
Let's just go.
I haven't much time.
Let's see. Let's just go. Oh, man. Yeah, you don't get something like this often. I think the closest you might get in the style is in a modern game with the Cthulhu mythos, maybe. Oh, yeah, I mean that. I mean, is there even a game with the? I don't know if there's a game at all for the Cthulhu's mythos, but that sounds like it would be really cool. But yeah, all the environment in this game is like super cool, and it looks super alien.
You have my attention.
There was actually a game that was related to that. Oh, that's interesting. Alright, let's go. Ah! Oh fuck! Oh no, this is actually not good. The assassins. Sinking City. Yeah, okay. The assassins are from a DLC. They're not... and I have the DLC, but they're supposed to... I don't know why they come so early on in the game. Okay, we can do this, maybe?
You have my attention.
The combat is, yeah. Yep. The combat is tough. It is very just like roll the dice kind of combat.
I suppose I could spare a moment.
And especially at level 1 where I don't have like any combat skills is you know, it's hard to do much. It's got that old school MMORPG combat. Well, at the time it was very advanced combat. But yeah, look at this world. Look at it, you know, it's got some cool trees and let's go over this way, and great walking animations. And those are what you use to for transportation. You ride on those things usually, but yeah, I mean, this place just looks so like cool and alien. Like, I don't know. Funniest thing about these worlds in these older games. You can really tell this game has some real life to it. Yeah. No, because I mean, you have to you have to do tons of optimization to really get it running super well. I'm gonna go over to the base over there, and yeah, I mean, it's just beautiful. And I don't know, there's like, I mean, here it's like mostly trees, and they do look pretty alien, but a lot of the world, a lot of the trees are like mushrooms, and then there's like one faction that lives in like huge mushroom trees that are pretty cool. And now this is from the Empire, one of their bases. So this is very much more like realistic and like Roman inspired, which I mean, is still kind of cool.
Yes.
Okay. Ordo, Adra, Daedra. Anyways, anticipations. Okay, I haven't read. Have I read Adra, Daedra? Let's see. I think I have. Yes, okay. But I haven't read this one, Frontier Conquest. Let's read that one. Frontier, quest, alright. Let's see if this one's super long as well. Alright. Frontier, Conquest, and Accommodation. A Social History of Cyrodiil. University of Gwynland Press. 3rd Era, 344. Historians often portray human settlement of Tamriel as a straightforward process of military expansion of the Nords of Skyrim. In fact, human settlers occupied nearly every corner of Tamriel before Skyrim was even founded. These so-called Nedic peoples include the Proto-Cyrodiilians, the ancestors of the Bretons, the Aboriginals of Hammerfell, and perhaps a now-vanished human population of Morrowind. Strictly speaking, the Nords are simply another of these Nedic peoples, the only one that failed to find a method of peaceful accommodation with the elves who already occupied Tamriel. Ysgramor was certainly not the first human settler in Tamriel. In fact, in fleeing the civil war in Atmora, as the Song of Return states, Ysgramor was following a long tradition of migration from Atmora. Tamriel had served as a safety valve for Atmora for centuries before Ysgramor's arrival. Malcontents, dissidents, rebels, landless younger sons all made the difficult crossing from Atmora to the New World of Tamriel. New archaeological excavations date the earliest human settlements in Hammerfell, High Rock, and Cyrodiil at Merethic era 800 to 1000 centuries earlier than Ysgramor, even assuming that the 12 Nord kings prior to Harald were actual historical figures. The Nedic peoples were a minority in a land of elves and had no choice but to live peacefully with the Elder race. In High Rock, Hammerfell, Cyrodiil, and possibly Morrowind, they did just that. The Nedic peoples flourished and expanded over the last centuries of the Merethic era. Only in Skyrim did this accommodation break down, an event recorded in the Song of Return. Perhaps being close to reinforcements from Atmora, the Proto-Nords did not feel it necessary to submit to the authority of the Skyrim elves. Indeed, the early Nord chronicles note that under King Harald, the first historical Nord ruler, 1st era 113 through 221, the Atmoran mercenaries returned to their homeland, following the consolidation of Skyrim as a centralized kingdom. Whatever the case, the pattern was set. In Skyrim, expansion would proceed militarily, with human settlement following the frontier of conquest, and the line between human territory and elven territory was relatively clear. But beyond this zone of conflict, the other Nedic peoples continued to merge with their elven neighbors. When the Nord armies of the First Empire finally entered High Rock and Cyrodiil, they found Bretons and Proto-Cyrodiilics already living there among the elves. Indeed, the Nords found it difficult to distinguish between elf and Breton. The two races had already intermingled to such a degree. The arrival of the Nord armies upset the balance of power between the Nedic peoples and the elves. Although the Nord's expansion into High Rock and Cyrodiil was relatively brief, less than 2 centuries, the result was decisive. From then on, power in those regions shifted from the elves to the humans. I assume this is vanilla and not some modded version, because I did hear that your best experience with the game is mainly with mods. It's a shame, because this book would have really benefited from some voice acting with the books. Yeah. Well, I mean, so this is not completely vanilla. So it is, somebody built an open source game engine, and basically, it helps make the game run a bit smoother, gets rid of some of the bugs, and makes the lighting a little bit better. Makes it so you can have shadows on stuff. Like the actors here, they've got shadows. It makes it a little bit cooler, and makes it run a bit better on modern hardware. As you say, I can imagine these games don't run on well on modern hardware. Yeah. So someone recreated the game engine basically, and you can take your install of Morrowind and then give the game engine that this person made. Thought I heard something. You give the game engine all the textures, all the game files, and then it'll run in the game engine. And then you can also run mods on top of that pretty easily, which I do plan to do a little bit. I haven't gotten around to that though. But in regard to voice acting, there is actually a mod. So this isn't for books. In Skyrim, the books are also not voice acted. But like when you talk to an NPC here, there's some voice acted lines, but like, I don't know you, what do you want? No voice acting. And then if I ask about background, it's just text. You can kind of click through and learn about them. And that's how you talk in this game. But some decided to make a mod where all of this text is voiced by AI. And it's pretty amazing. So you can get the full voice acting.
Care to tell me what this is about?
Yeah, so she has some, all the characters have a tiny bit of voice acting. But the majority of the text is just, doesn't have any voice acting. So someone made a mod where all the text is just voice acted by AI, which is pretty incredible.
Come on then, say something.
Oh, that's genius, yeah. That's crazy too, because I keep forgetting AI's getting into the gaming scene already. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It would have been nice if they, paid voice actors to voice all the lines, but, I mean, it's a really old game. I don't think any modder would have been able to raise the money to pay voice actors, so I'm kind of okay with it. But if Bethesda, who's they're the creators of of the Elder Scrolls games, same creators as Fallout and stuff, if they had their characters voiced by AI, I would be that would be you have the money for that. If it's just some small indie modder doing it, then I'm okay with it. But if it's a big game company, then I don't know. I wouldn't be all too accepting of that. Alright, next book. Ordo Legionis. I can see it though, because then you can really expand what you can do with some of these games if you get into it. Yeah, I'm okay with modders using it, sort of. Not really, but I prefer if they paid voice actors to do it. But yeah, you can do a lot more with a lot less with the AI. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. It's really cool what you can do with it, but also, it's taking away jobs from voice actors. So, I don't know. It's a tough issue. Alright. Let's go ahead and read this. Ordo Legionis, the most disciplined and effective military force in history. The Imperial Legions preserve the peace and rule of law in the Empire. At need, the Legion garrisons can be swiftly mobilized to protect against invasions or internal disorders. But in Vardenfell district of Morrowind, the local forts help to ensure law and order, providing guards to supplement the local guard units of the Temple and great houses Hlalu, Redoran, and Telvanni. There are 5 Legion garrisons in Vardenfell district. The 3 town garrisons, Moonmouth Legion Fort in Balmora, Buckmouth Legion Fort in Aldrune, and Fort Pelagiad in Pelagiad, are at full complement. The Hawkmoth Legion garrisoned at Castle Ebonheart is an elite honor guard unit and also at full complement. The frontier installation Fort Darius and Gnissus is currently the only understrength garrison in Vardenfell. Qualified citizens seeking enlistment in the Imperial Legion should apply to the commander of that garrison, General Darius. The Legion selects candidates on the basis of superior endurance and the soldierly virtue and trustworthy personality. The citizen's virtue for service in the Legion is the model for the duties of Imperial citizenship. Troopers are expected to demonstrate mastery of the long blade, the spear, and blunt weapons. Legion troops train with shield and heavy armor, and so must be skilled at blocking and moving in heavy armor. As a trooper or knight, you must master the long blade, spear, and blunt weapons. You must block whatever blows you can and take unblocked blows upon your heavy armor. Recruit must also be proficient at athletics, both to march long distances with heavy packs and to advance and maneuver, charge, and retreat on the field of battle. It's a bit of a boring book, but some of them aren't the most exciting. Let's see.
So what do you want?
Lives of Saints. I think I read that one already. But let me make sure. Let's see. Yes, I've read that one. Alright. But yeah, the music in this game as well is real nice. I don't know. It's such nice just background music. Just having it playing. Oh my god, it's an Emperor. I'm pretty sure. I was going to comment on the music too, yeah. Dude, Morrowind is such a nice scenic game. I love it. And I don't know, the lore for the entire universe is it's like my favorite fictional universe by far. Pilgrim's Path. Okay, I've read all these.
Any time now.
Data, I've read. Okay. Yep, no books here that I need. The music from earlier, that was more calm, worked well when you're reading the book. Yeah, because you don't get a lot of games that play like this anymore, really. Yeah. Yeah, there's also another kind of fun thing with, I mean, this is kind of a trend of Bethesda games, is if you really want to, you can do just about anything. Or, not just, you can, if you really want to, you can break the game. And, there's quite a few, exploits that you can find. And, they're not too easy, or, they're not, too hard to do. But they're really funny. Sometimes. Sounds just like Fallout, to be honest. Yeah, well, I mean, they're made by the same company. So that tracks for sure. But there's this potion that you can make, with some finagling, that basically makes you jump, and you can go there's a potion you can make, and then you can just jump from here all the way to here. Basically, you you just make like a potion of jumping or something like that, and then you can just hop halfway across the map. And you know, you can do speed potions and then just go like insanely fast, and other just like funny stuff like that. And yeah, so if you like want to put the effort into like breaking the game, you can. So when you make the potion, drink it, does it show the animation, or does it just do some kind of cut to black? No, it shows you the animation, like you jump and then you just like, you know, you follow your character flying all the way over. It's really cool. And like late game, you can do, you know, most people, or a lot of people when they play the game, once they like get to a point where they have pretty good alchemy, will like make a lesser version of that potion that's not like just completely exploited. But they make a potion where you can basically like just jump over the mountain here. Like they'll make a potion and then they can just like hop over that and get around really quickly. Yeah, and fun stuff like that. 'Cause yeah, I mean there's no fast traveling. Now I want to play the game, dude. It's a great game. I love this. There's like, you know, there's no fast traveling. So like on the map here, if you click on, you know, you can't like actually click on any of these places and fast travel to them. The only way is to like, you know, you can.
I've heard a lot about you, Outlander. Go ahead.
It does seem like it requires some know-how. Yeah, pretty much. Do they at least give you a mount? No, not as far as I know. The only ways you can travel, like quickly from town to town, is if you go, like using the carriage in Skyrim, basically. You can go up to, you can go up to these things here. And you can go up to this guy.
Why
and
walk
talk to
when you
him.
can ride?
Yeah, why walk when you can ride? And he'll let you travel to these couple towns. But it's kind of confusing. You kind of have to, you know, get used to it. You know, these aren't all the towns in the game. Not even close. So, like, if I want to go to Gnissis, which is on the map here, over here. That thing was alive? Thought that was a statue. No, this is a living thing. It's a silt strider, and they hollow out basically in the shell there. They cut open its shell, and then you kind of sit on its organs basically, and that's the transport. But yeah, so to get to Gnissis there, what you have to do is you go to hold on. So to get to Gnissis, I think you go to Aldrune. Let's see if I remember this correctly. So you can travel with him to Aldrune. So you get to Aldrune, which is pretty cool. And then this guy, you can travel with him, and he'll take you over to Gnissis. Right? So this guy, so they only take you to like nearby towns. So like they won't take you all the way across the map. So you have to like go from one silt shredder to the next to get to exactly where you want to go sometimes. But yeah, here you can kind of see what it looks like on the inside. You don't really see the flesh that you sit on. But yeah, it's just like they hollow out the shell here, and then lore-wise, you sit on its flesh. You don't really see it here, I guess, but it is creepy to imagine. And those are, I guess, the controls. Somehow they control the silt strider with that. But yeah, they are freaky little things. And they also, in Morrowind, these are like the equivalent of cows. Like there's silt herders who raise these things and like, you know, harvest leather and meat from these things. That's crazy, yeah. And here we are in Aldrune, and I'm pretty sure there is a bookshop in this town. And, oh, dude, I also love the architecture. You know, very unique looking. Whereas Skyrim and stuff is just like, you know, it looks like Nordic, which, you know, Skyrim is supposed to be the land of the Nords, but this is like unique and stuff. Stuff's really well done, yeah. Alright, there's some houses. I think that's the temple over there. This really does look like a world you can see in Star Wars, yeah. Let's see.
My time is precious, so make it quick.
Here are the shops. Bookseller. Yes. Here we are. Ooh, he's got lots of books. Okay, Brief History of the Empire. The Brothers of Darkness. I feel like I've read that one.
I've got better things to do, so if you don't mind, let's move this along.
Maybe not. Huh, okay. Brothers of Darkness, I don't think I've read that one. Definitely haven't read that one. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have tons of stuff I haven't read here. The Mirror, yeah, Firmament. I've read that one. Vampires of Vardenfell. A Less Rude Song. True Natures of Orcs. That one's fun. Origin of the Mages Guild. Frontier. Frontier. Confessions of a Skooma Eater. Let's start with that one. This one seems like it could be fun. Skooma is like a drug. Let's write this down. A Skooma Eater. Alright. Confession of a Dunmer Skooma Eater. Nothing is more revolting to Dunmer feeling than the sorry spectacle of another Dunmer enslaved by that derivative moon sugar known as skooma, and nothing is less appetizing than listening to the pathetic tales of humiliation and degradation associated with a victim of this addictive drug. Why then do I force myself upon you with this extended and detailed account of my sins and sorrows? Because I hope that by telling my tale, the hope of redemption from this sorry state shall be more widely known, and because I hope that the others who have also fallen into the sorry state of skooma addiction may therefore hear of my story, of how I fell into despair and how I once again found myself freed, myself from my own self-imposed chains. Because it is widely known to all Khajiit who may be expected to know that there is no cure for addiction to skooma, that once a slave to skooma, always a slave to skooma. Because this is widely known, it is taken to be true, but it is not true, and I am living proof. There's no miracle cure, there's no potion to be taken, there's no magical incantation which frees you from the thrill of skooma running through your blood. But it is through the understanding of that thrill and the acceptance of the lust within oneself for that thrill, that the casting aside of the shame that the thrill seeker feels when he cannot set aside what becomes in the end his only comfort and pleasure. It is through this knowledge and the understanding that the victim comes to the place where choices may be made, where despair and hope may be separated. In short, only knowledge and acceptance can deliver the slave's hand the key that opens his shackles and sets him free. The narrative of Tilsi Sendas' tale carries the reader through the stages of early infatuation, ecstatic obsession, and profound degradation of her addiction, and in the course of the story, she subtly enables the reader to discover that the hopelessness of the addict comes from the addict's own unconscious assumption that only a helpless and foolish person could become addicted to skooma, and that consequently, no such helpless and foolish person could ever achieve the admittedly difficult task of renouncing, once tasted the exquisite delights of the skooma. Tilsi Sendas shows that once the addict overcomes the burden of her own self-despising, that there is the possibility of redemption, and against all of society's dearly held beliefs, she says that it is not altogether clear that the addict should renounce the sugar, but that it is only one of the choices that the skooma addict must make. Tilsey Sendus's casual proposition that skooma addiction is not necessarily a sign of moral and personal weakness is essential to her thesis that a cure is possible, but has not endeared her or her book to the upright and conservative elements of Dunmer society. So basically, this guy's just saying to give it, you have to go cold turkey with the drug, and you have to have the willpower to even resist the effects, I assume. Pretty much. Kinda. I mean... yeah, I thought that was going to be funnier. I didn't think it was just going to be a serious one. And, I mean, they did kind of cut them off there. Let's try... you thought this was going to be funny? Yeah, I mean... I thought it was going to, like, be some crazy stories that the skooma addict got up to. I'm actually curious on what you thought it was going to be. Yeah, I thought it was going to be, like, some crazy shit the skooma addict got up to. Rather than just... oh, this is how you can overcome addiction. Let's see. Let's go... I feel like... Mysterious Activeer is probably going to be pretty interesting.
Okay, Outlander, but make it quick.
Ooh. Ashland hymns, live to sing. Oh man, so many to choose from. Let's do something that Vampires of Ardenfell. I love vampires. I feel like that's gonna be interesting. Vampires of Vardenfell. Volume 1. Oh, there's a vampire emoji? That's sick. That's hilarious. Okay. Excerpts. The violent antipathy of Morrowind culture toward necromancy ensures that vampires are virtually unknown in Morrowind. The temple does not acknowledge the existence of Western vampire hunting orders. Nonetheless, interviews with temple officials persuade me that the Dunmer of Morrowind are experienced and knowledgeable in the handling of these menaces. On the other hand, they freely admit that even a large community of vampires might easily escape detection in the remote wastelands or in the subterranean labyrinths of abandoned strongholds and wizard towers. The Ash Vampire of Ashlander legend is not undead. Sorceries and blessings affecting the undead reportedly have no effect on these creatures. No specimen has ever been examined, and no reference have ever been linked to these legends with the known clans of Tamrielic vampires. Vardenfell's 3 known bloodlines differ greatly in their approach to prey. The Quora bloodline features exceptional strength and endurance and attacks in a state of ecstatic frenzy. On-day vampires are potent spellcasters seeking to hypnotize victims before feeding, while the swift and agile Burn clan vampires prefer stealth and ambush, first poisoning the victim with a bite, then withdrawing to a safe distance, returning to feed only when the prey has weakened. It is supposed that vampirism is contracted from wounds received from a vampire. Since few victims survive vampiric attacks or feedings, the process of contracting the disease is little understood. Some have suggested that victims may willingly submit themselves to the will of a vampire, but no real evidence of this exists. During the incubation phase, lasting up to 72 hours, the vampirism disease exhibits no symptoms and may be cured by general spellcraft or cult blessings. However, during the incubation, some victims have reported sleep disturbances and troubling dreams. After symptoms are exhibited, however, the disease is incurable and irreversible. Okay, I knew all that already. So, I don't know. Vampires in the Elder Scrolls series are like one of my least favorite vampire interpretations, actually. They're interesting, but I don't know. They're not my favorite of the vampires. Basically, if you become well, that sucks if you do ever meet a vampire kind of on your own, since there isn't much to go for them. These kind of sound basic. Yeah, they're pretty basic. They're not heavily featured in the lore. They're pretty much just there because vampires are popular, I think. So like, we'll just toss vampires in. But they're not very interesting. I mean, they have kind of interesting backstory. Basically, the first vampire was created when the essentially evil god Molag Bal, who is the god of subjugation, domination, and rape and stuff, he basically raped this girl, and then she became the first vampire unwillingly. And also, when you become a vampire, you, like, basically your soul belongs to Molag Bal. So once you can't, as a vampire, you can't die to old age, but like you can die in combat, and then your afterlife, your soul, you go to Molag Bal for your afterlife, and basically go to hell. Dang, that sucks even more. You don't even have free will technically then? Yeah. Yeah, and you pretty much, once you become a vampire, it's like you're guaranteed to go to hell. And, you sell your soul to the devil, basically. So, ooh, my block skill got increased. So yeah, vampires in this one, I mean, they're still kind of cool, because just vampires, but like, yeah, not my favorite. The liches, though, they're pretty cool in this universe. There's pretty much nothing about them, but yeah. There's a god of liches, Manamarco, and he's the only lich to be able to keep a human-looking body and not look like a skeleton. But basically, you have to, like, I mean, I guess it's pretty much the same as D&D, where you have to take your soul out of your body and pretty much die, and then, put your soul into a phylactery or something. I might actually be wrong on that. There's pretty much no information about liches. But yeah, I don't know. It's still kind of cool, the lore for liches. Interesting. Yeah. Alright, next book. The Mirror by Berdier Rnians. The wind blew over the open plain, jostling the few trees within to move back and forth with the irritation of it. A young man in bright green turban approached the army and gave his chieftain's terms for peace to the commander. He was refused. It was It was to be battle, the Battle of Ain Kalur. So the chief Yembez had decreed his open defiance, and his horsemen were at war once again. Many times the tribe had moved into territory that was not theirs to occupy, and many times the diplomatic approach had failed. It had come to this at long last. It was just as well. With Mindothrax, his allies may win or lose, but he would always survive. Though he had occasionally been on the losing side of a war, never once in all his 34 years had he lost in hand-to-hand combat. The two armies poured like dual frothing streams through the dust, and when they met, a clamor rang out, echoing into the hills. Blood, the first liquor the clay had tasted in many a month, danced like powder. The high and low battle cries of the rival tribes met in harmony as the armies dug into one another's flesh. Mindothrax was in the element he loved. After 10 hours of fighting with no ground given, both commanders called a mutual and honorable withdrawal from the field. The camp was positioned in a high-walled garden of an old burial ground and adorned by springtide blossoms. As Mindothrax toured the grounds, he was reminded of his childhood home. It was a happy and a sad recollection. The purity of childhood ambition, all of his schooling in the ways of battle, but tinged with the memories of his poor mother. A beautiful woman looking down at her son with both pride and unspoken sorrow. She never talked about what troubled her, but it came as no surprise to any when she took the walk across the moors and was found days later, her throat slit open by her own hand. The army itself was like a colony of ants, newly shaken within a half-hour's time after the end of the battle. They had reorganized as if by instinct. As the medicos looked to the wounded, someone remarked with a measure of admiration and astonishment, "Look at Mindothrax. His hair isn't even out of place. He is a mighty swordsman," said the attending physician. "The sword is a greatly overvalued article," said Mindothrax, nevertheless, pleased with the attention. "Warriors pay too much attention to striking and not enough in defending strikes. The proper way to go into battle is to defend yourself and to hit your opponent only when the ideal moment arises." "I prefer a much more straightforward approach," smiled one of the wounded. "It is the way of the horseman. It is the way of the Julsai tribes to fail. Then I renounce my heritage," said Mindothrax, making a quick sign to the spirits that he was being expressive, not blasphemous. "Remember what the great bladesmaster Gaiden Shinji said. The best techniques are passed on by the survivors. I have been in 36 battles, and I haven't a scar to show for them. That is because I rely on my shield and then my blade, in that order. What is your secret? Think of melee as a mirror. I look to my opponent's left arm when I am striking with my right. If he is prepared to block my blow, I blow not. Why exert undue force?" Mindothrax cocked an eyebrow. "But when I see his right arm tense, my left arm goes to my shield. You see, it takes twice as much power to send force than it does to deflect it. When your eye can recognize whether your opponent is striking from above or at an angle or in an uppercut from below, you learn to pivot and place your shield just to protect yourself. I could block for hours if need be, but it only takes a few minutes or even a few seconds for your opponent, used to battering, to leave a space open for your own strike." "What was the longest you've ever had to defend yourself?" asked the wounded man. "I fought a man once for an hour's time," said Mindothrax. "He was tireless, with his bludgeoning, never giving me a moment to do aught but block his strikes. But finally, he took a moment too long in raising his cudgel, and I found my mark in his chest. He struck my shield 1,000 times, and I struck his heart but once. But that was enough." "So he was your greatest opponent?" asked Medico. "Oh, indeed not," said Mindothrax, turning his great shield so the silvery metal reflected his own face. "There is he." The next day, the battle recommenced. Chief Ayembes had brought in reinforcements from the islands to the south. To the horror and disgrace of the tribe mercenaries, renegade horsemen, and even some reachmen, witches were included in the war. As Mindothrax stared across the field at the armies assembling, putting on his helmet and readying his shield and blade, he thought again of his poor mother. What had tortured her so? Why had she never been able to look at her son without grief? Between sunrise and sundown, the battle raged. A bright blue sky overhead burned down on the combatants as they rushed against one another, over and over again. In every melee, Mindothrax prevailed. A foe with an axe rained a series of strokes against his shield, but every one was deflected, until at last Mindothrax could best the warrior. A spear maiden nearly pierced the shield with her first strike, but Mindothrax knew how to give with the blow, throwing her off balance, leaving her open for his counterstrike. Finally, he met a mercenary on the field, armed with shield and sword and a helm of golden bronze. For in an hour and a half, they battled. Mindothrax tried every trick he knew. When the mercenary tensed his left arm, he held back his strike. When his opponent rose his sword, his shield rose too, and expertly blocked. For the first time in his life, he was battling another defensive fighter. Stationary, reflective, with energy to battle for days if need be. Occasionally, another warrior would enter the fray, sometimes from Mindothrax's army, sometimes from his opponent's. These distractions were swiftly dispatched, and the champions returned to their fight. As they fought, circling one another, matching blow for blow and blow for block, it dawned on Mindothrax that here at last he was fighting the perfect mirror. It became more a game, almost a dance, than a battle of blood. It was not until Mindothrax missed his own step, striking too soon, throwing himself off balance, that the promenade was ended. He saw, rather than felt, the mercenary's blade rip across him from throat to chest. A good strike, the sort he himself might have delivered. Mindothrax fell to the ground, feeling his life passing. The mercenary stood over him, prepared to give his worthy adversary the killing blow. It was a strange, honorable deed for an outsider to do, and Mindothrax was greatly moved. Across the battlefield, he heard someone call a name, similar to his own. Jurfax. The mercenary removed his helmet to answer the call. As he did so, Mindothrax saw through the slits of his helmet his own reflection in the man. It was his own close-set eyes, red-brown hair, thin and wide mouth, and blunt chin. For a moment, he marveled at the mirror before the stranger turned back to him and delivered the death stroke. Jurfax returned to his commander and was well paid for his part in the day's victory. They retired for a hot meal under the stars in a garden by an old cairn that had previously been occupied by their foes. The mercenary was strangely quiet as he observed the land. "Have you ever been here before?" Jurfax asked one of the tribesmen who had hired him. "I was born a horseman just like you. My mother sold me when I was just a babe. I've always wondered how my life might have been different had I not been bartered away. I might never have been a mercenary." "There are many things that decide our fate," said the witch. "It is madness to try to see how you might have taken this turn or that in the world. There are none exactly like yourself, so it is foolish to compare. But there is one," said Jurfax, looking to the stars. "My master, before he set me free, said that my mother had twin sons when I was born. She could only afford to raise but one child, but somewhere out there is a man just like me, my brother. I hope to meet him." The witch saw the spirits before her and knew the truth, that the twins had met already. She remained silent and stared into the fire, banishing the thoughts from her head, too wise to tell all. I like how it kind of explains the whole wait for the opponents to strike then counterattack like it's some secret technique, even though it's literally just basic combat where it's a little, oh, you know, it's a nice book. Oh man, that's so sad. And not everybody knows the counterattack thing, you know, gotta be introduced to it at some point. Oh man, that's such a tragic tale. Oh man. Okay. It was interesting, yeah. It was a nice story, honestly. That's so well I don't know. It always surprises me how well written the books in these games are. Oh man. A less rude song. Okay. I don't know about singing it, but I can read it. Alright. They say the Iliac Bay is the place to barrel around, without a bit of apparel on, as advertised in that carol song, a tune that's sung as the west wind blows, about it lovely not wearing any clothes, ladies singing in high notes, men singing in lows, implying that the most luscious depravity and complete absence of serious gravity can only be found in the warehouse cavity of Iliac Bay. If you are the type who is more a sinner than a sinned, you'll find it in all Morrowind. But the truth, my child, is that nothing more wild, that of an ordinary fashion, kind of slightly mad passion, can be detected if at all, in Sentinel and Daggerfall. Whatever your odd needs, feathered, scaled, or finned, you'll find it all in Morrowind. It's an invention of bards that Bretons and Redguards have more than some staid fun, and suffered deviant fornication for the most of madness not the least. The wise debaucher heads out east, where your once steely reserve is now merely tinned. You'll find it all in Morrowind. In Morrowind there is sin, but pray do not confuse Dunmer variety with that found in tepid Western society, compared to which it is nearly piety. It isn't terribly ingenious to calling it prudery, observing the dark elf aversion to nudity. After all, the preferred sort of luidity in these parts is far more pernicious, From the ashlanders to the wettest fishes. You'll find pleasure and pain quite delicious in Morrowind. If you find yourself with unkind kinship with your kin, you'll find it all in Morrowind. Okay. I kind of sang it, I guess. You know, I don't know. I've never really sung, ever, at all. I'm just about tone deaf. I don't know. I can never... That was a song? Yeah. Thought it was more of a haiku or something. I mean, it might have been like... I mean, songs and poetry are pretty similar. You know, I gotta have everything rhyming. Let's see. Mysterious Akavir, I'm pretty sure is going to be pretty interesting. Akavir is always just interesting. Wait, actually, have I read this already? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Akavir is always interesting. Because pretty much nothing is known. Hold on, are you allowed to read the books without paying for them? I thought you had to pay for these first, then read them. I can read them without paying for them, but I can't take them. So I can't put them in my inventory. And I'm pretty sure the bookshop, he's probably got some books that aren't on the shelves, so I'd have to pay for those to even read them. But part of my playthrough is also just, like, trying to get as many books in my inventory as possible. So eventually I'm either gonna have to get enough money or try to steal them. But yeah, a lot of these names as well, man. A lot of the Elvish names are real hard to pronounce. I don't see any names that are too hard here, but the last couple books have been, other than the song, have had some challenging ones. Alright, let's take another sip. Alright. Mysterious Akavir. Akavir means Dragonland. Tamriel means Dawn's Beauty. Atmora means Elder Wood. Only the Redguards know what Yakuta ever meant. Akavir is the kingdom of the beasts. No men or mer live in Akavir, though men once did. These men, however, were eaten long ago by the vampiric serpent folk of Taisi. Had they not been eaten, these men would have eventually migrated to Tamriel. The Nords left Atmora for Tamriel. Before them, the Elves had abandoned Aldmeris for Tamriel. The Redguards destroyed Yakuta so they could make their journey. All men and mer know Tamriel is the nexus of creation, where the last war will happen, where the gods unmade Lorkhan and left their adamantine tower of secrets. Who knows what the Akaviri think of Tamriel, but ask yourself, why have they tried to invade it 3 times or more? There are 4 major nations of Akavir: Kamal, Taisi, Tang Mo, and Kapo Tun. When they are not busy trying to invade Tamriel, they are fighting with each other. Kamal is snow hell. Demons live there, armies of them. Every summer they thaw out and invade Tang Mo, but the brave monkey folk always drive them away. Once Adasum Dir Kamal, a king among demons, attempted to conquer Morrowind, but Almalexia, the Underking, destroyed him at Red Mountain. Taisi is Snake Palace, once the strongest power in Akavir, before the Tiger Dragon came. The Serpent Folk ate all the men of Akavir a long time ago, but still kind of look like them. They are tall, beautiful, if frightening, covered in golden scales, and immortal. They enslave the goblins of the surrounding isles, who provide labor and fresh blood. The holdings of Taisi are widespread. When the natives of Tamriel think of the Akaviri, they think of the Serpent Folk, because one ruled the Cyrodiilic Empire for 400 years in the previous era. He was Potentate Versidu Shai, assassinated by the Morak Tong. Tang Mo is the Thousand Monkey Isles. There are many breeds of monkey folk, and they are all kind, brave, and simple, and many are also very crazy. They can raise armies when they must, for all of the other Akavir nations have, at one time or another, tried to enslave them. They cannot decide who they hate more, the snakes or the demons, but ask one, and he will probably say snakes. Though once bitter enemies, the monkey folk are now allies with the tiger folk Kapo Tun. Kapo Tun is the tiger dragon's empire. The cat folk here are ruled by the divine Tashraka, the tiger dragon. They are now a very great empire, stronger than the Taisi, though not at sea. After the serpent folk ate all the men, they tried to eat all the dragons. They managed to enslave the red dragons, but the black ones had fled to then Po-Tun. A great war was raged, which left both the cats and the snakes weak, and the dragons all dead. Since that time, the cat folks have tried to become the dragons. Tashraka is the first to succeed. He's the largest dragon in the world, orange and black, and he has very many new ideas. First, Tashraka says, is that we kill all the vampire snakes. Then the Tiger Dragon Emperor wants to invade Tamriel. Yeah, so Akavir is a different continent that not much is known about, and Tamriel is the continent where all the games take place. And it's pretty interesting. Lots of stuff going on there. Don't really know exactly what, though. Alright, I think this one is going to be the last book I read for tonight, because I ran out of space on my piece of paper. And also, you know, quite the exercise for the throat, reading all this stuff. Alright, Words of the Wind. This is a volume of verse collected from Ashlander Wise Woman. May I Shrink to Dust is from the Ahemmusa Ashlanders of the Grayslands. May I shrink to dust in your cold wild wastes, and may my tongue speak its last hymn to your winds. I pray for the herder that whistles to his guar at play. I pray for the hunter that stalks the white walkers. I pray for the wise one that seeks under the hill, and the wife who wishes for one last touch of her dead child's hand. I will not pray for that which I've lost, when my heart springs forth from your soil like a seed, and blossoms anew beneath tomorrow's sun. Yeah, you got some water with you, don't you? Yeah, I do. It is it is a saving grace. I think my throat has gotten a bit more exercise, because last time I read through pretty much the same amount of books last time. I think maybe they were a little longer. And dude, my throat was like, by the end, it was dying. I was struggling at the end of it. Hold on, what is this?
Let's hear it.
I want to know what this is. Okay, no, I'm gonna just add this here. Okay, Doors of the Spirit. Alright, this will actually be the last one. Not sure how often you stream this game, but it makes sense you're getting used to it now. Yeah, I mean, this is only the second one. I'm doing it every Friday. Alright, this one... Oh, hold on, how long is this? Okay, it's not too long. Okay. The Doors of the Spirits. The ancestors are among us. They are never farther away than the waiting door. The ancestors are not departed. The dead are not under the earth. Their spirits are in the restless wind, in the fire's voice, in the foot-smooth step. Pay heed to these things, and you will know your absent kin. Pay reverence through the gift and prayer. Acquaint the ancestors with your affairs, with your comings and goings, with your blessings and trials. From the waiting door comes your protection. Heed the spirits who are the guardians of your hearth, teachers of wisdom, counselors of fortune, seers of fate. Each bone is a door through the wall of the world. Each bone is the road. With wisdom and power, the travelers, each bone is the ghost fence that guards us from evil. Honor the ancestors upon your hearths, within your halls, in the community of your temples, in the solitude of your tombs. Guard your ancestors from beasts, from thieves, from profane priests and sorcerers. Let no creature steal your spirits, for the plundered hearth is diminished and the plundered tomb is shamed. Live in one world with your spirits, honor the spirits within and without you. Do not grieve for the dead, take shelter in their arms, and pay heed to their words. Yeah, so the Dunmer, the race that kind of rules Morrowind is the Dunmer. They are a ancestor. They worship their ancestors. So, when every family, they've got their own tomb, and they take a lot of care of their tomb, and they worship their ancestors and stuff like that. And it's pretty cool. Oh, look at the sky here. I don't know. It's a nice sky. What is this building? Oh, I forgot. Manor District. Whoa. I guess this is where the rich, this is where like the rich people live. In here, I guess. All right. Whoa, that shadow is not working completely correctly. All right, that is gonna do it for today.
Speak, traveler.
All right. Ooh, all right. We read quite a few books. That was one heck of a ride. I like this game. Yeah, it's like my favorite game, actually. I love this game so much. Morrowind is the best. I've read, oh man, the amount of lore I know about the Elder Scrolls universe is kind of insane. I played Skyrim. I mean, I have like 1,000 hours on Skyrim. Just because the lore. I love the lore. I love all the world building. World building's my favorite thing. Kind of reminds me of the days where I just watch YouTube videos having people explain the lore of characters and stuff. Yeah. Holy cow, no wonder you know so much about the game. Yeah. No, okay. It's kind of insane how like hyper fixated I've been on Elder Scrolls. Like I legitimately sat down like one of my favorite YouTube channels. I don't remember exactly which one. I think it was Fudge Muppet, one of my favorite YouTube channels ever. They uploaded this like 3-hour video about the Augur of Dunlane, which is a character that appears in a quest line in Skyrim, and he has 3 voice lines. A total of 3 voice lines. He's pretty much not mentioned at all. He has 3 voice lines. There's only like 2 characters who know about him in the game. There's 3 characters who even know that he exists in the game. Only has like 2 or 3 voice lines. He's like the most minor of characters, and they made like a 3-hour video about him. And I watched that video. I sat down and watched it, and I was enthralled. It was such a good video. I watched every single minute of it. I've watched that video 2 or 3 times at this point, I think, all the way through. It's so, oh man, it's so good. I don't know. That's insane. I can only imagine how much he had to dig through to find all that information. Yeah, it's so cool how like they found all that. 'Cause yeah, so Yeah, they like made all these super intricate connections to try to figure out who the Augur of Dunlane is, because it's like he's like shrouded in mystery, and like they because they know so much, the people on that channel know so much about the lore. They figured out, okay, well, the Augur, that's like, that's kind of a term from the Reach folk. There's some other augurs, and they're all from the Reach. And then they're like, okay, Dunlane, that's a, they, there's a map of the Reach, and there's a place called Dunlane. So okay, he's the augur from Dunlane, I guess. And then they found, references to a bunch of other stuff, and man, they got so intricate. Oh, so good. And it's like, I don't know, the way they connect all the information about it and like figure out all this stuff is so fascinating. Where would you even begin to find out information like that anyway, to make a 3-hour video of a character that doesn't even get that many lines of dialogue and that many NPCs don't know about? Yeah, I mean, it was like the most bare of bare connections that they made. And like, unless you know so much about the game and have read like just completely unrelated things, you would not have even been able to make the connections between some of this stuff. You would have just had to know like so much information to even like be able to come up with the connection. And man, because yeah, I mean, when I came across the character, I know a lot about Skyrim, and I got to that character and I was like, okay, well, he's like a standalone guy. I didn't think of any way to connect him to anything else. But yeah, I can see why you like this game so much and the lore. Yeah, dude, it's so good. I love it. And there's like a couple YouTube channels that make such good videos as well. That just like are like super lore intensive videos, and they're like 30-40 minutes, so you can just like set them on in the background while I'm doing other stuff, and then just like super cool intricate lore it's so good. So like my favorite ones are, if you ever want to look at those channels, so there's Drew Mora, Fudge Muppet, and hold on, what's the other one called? Drew Mora, Fudge Muppet, and Camelworks. Oh, dude, Camelworks is so cool as well. He has like these 4-hour videos where he like goes into each region of Skyrim and then tries to find every single little detail that has some interesting tidbit to it. And like it's in-game stuff. Oh, it's so good. Okay, but yeah, those are like my 3 favorite channels for Elder Scrolls content. Fudge Muppet, Camelworks, and Drew Mora. Oh, they're so good. Alright, I gotta go to bed. I had a great time. I don't know. This series of just finding and reading all the books has turned out... I didn't have super high hopes for it, but it's turned out to be like my favorite thing I've done so far. Alright, man. Take care. Have a good night. Yeah, it was fun too. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Okay. I'm glad you're here. Having you here to talk to you made this even better. And yeah, have a nice night, day, whatever time zone you're in. And yeah, peace.